Talent to Talent is a peer mentoring and creative music making programme delivered by Awards for Young Musicians and funded by Arts Council England. The aim was to enable young musicians to take a lead and discover more about their musical selves through sharing ideas and experiences with a mentor or mentee at a different stage in their musical development. These films outline AYM's music-based mentoring model, why it was developed, how we trained our mentors, and how we created an environment and process to foster peer mentoring opportunities. In this film, we look at the music-based mentoring process that has developed through Talent to Talent.
The main narrative thread, really, that runs through all of the projects is looking at musical journeys. So we used musical journeys as a metaphor for encouraging mentors and mentees to explore their stories, their progressions, how they had learnt, and indeed what they wanted to go on and do. Sometimes we would draw journeys on pieces of paper, sometimes we would tell stories, and sometimes we would try and play these musical learning journeys in music.
The drawings and the discussions about musical journeys were the starting point on the programme for a lot of the creative work. A lot of decisions had to be made amongst the groups doing the creating about where each piece was going to go. They evolved the content, worked it up into a musical performance, and then there always became a point where the creativity stopped and they would have to then start to rehearse and hone the music they produced in order to be able to perform it to others.
And what we're trying to do is we're getting them to distill these salient messages and insights from these conversations, sort of mentoring-based conversations, to turn those into music co-created in groups that can then be performed to an audience to communicate, if you like, the mentoring insights that the young musicians have developed. So there's a process of unearthing issues, challenges, ideas, opportunities, turning them into music, and then conveying, gifting, communicating those insights to an audience of other people.
Although the main focus of the programme was on exploring participants' musical journeys, other activities were introduced at key points.
Each morning we begin with icebreakers or warm-ups. They're designed to be easy, that anybody can do them, and they're designed to get the creative juices going. They introduce skills that can be used later in the day, and they are also very good at putting people at ease and making people very comfortable within the environment.
Not many of the children knew each other coming into this. I think it's important to get to know each other first before you try and establish an end goal. So that's why some of the activities that we're doing at the start of the day every morning, just like shaking down and just like getting your blood pumping, it just gets you laughing. So then once you've broken down that barrier, you immediately feel more comfortable around people.
On the second day of each project, we found towards the end of the day that energy levels were flagging a bit, so we injected a flash mob project just to re-energise people's minds. And for example, one particular project, we were divided into two groups of about 8 people each, and we asked each group to come up with some text and gave that to the other group, and then they had to create some music based on that text. Then we came back to it the following morning. They honed what they'd done the previous day and performed it to the other group. The benefit of doing this was to demonstrate how some of the skills that they had picked up from day one could be applied in a different scenario to the one that was overarching the whole project. And that gave them an opportunity to reflect on what they had already learnt mid-project.
One of the things that we did was ask mentors and mentees to work together to talk about and explore their instruments, and then to present what they found to the other people. So perhaps we might have got the instrument families to work together to talk about how their instrument works and what it means to them. And one of the good things about this was that even if you've only just started on an instrument, you probably know more about it than some of the people who have been playing a different instrument for a very long time, which gave a genuine opportunity for some of the most young participants to share something very meaningful with their peers.
Each project culminated in a short performance to family and friends, showcasing not only the music created by the participants, but also communicating some of the learning that had taken place. The performances illustrated the breadth of musical experiences, instruments, and genres represented by our participants.
One of the things that we've tried to do is really to make sure that there isn't a focused musical genre. And the reason that it's important is because many people will come with an expectation that it might be one genre or another. Most people will come with a stronger background in one musical genre than another. And so an important part of the creative activity and the collaborative activity is to make sure really that there is minimal focus on any one musical genre. And indeed, one of the things that we found is that the music that was made quite often defied any sort of musical genre identification. That's an important part of what we ended up creating.
We found that participants from different musical backgrounds, different genres, inspired the other participants in unique and quite positive ways, but at no point did we actually focus on a genre in the creative work. Improvisation was central to all of the creative work, but it wasn't at the expense of going down one particular style of genre. After the performances, we spent some time reflecting on what we had heard and inviting the people who had been listening to give us an idea of whether the message that had been intended had come across in the performance. And that created a lot of discussions about putting the message at the forefront of the compositions.
The opportunity for reflection was crucial to the music-based mentoring process that developed through Talent to Talent.
So I think it's very important with work like this to work carefully with all of your stakeholders and participants before, during and afterwards to hone, reflect and to curate the best programme of activities that you can.
I think reflection, well, to be honest, reflection is a big part of music as a whole actually. We're not just sitting playing our instruments 24/7. A lot of the practice time is actually thinking about what you've done, what you've played, what you could do differently, reflecting on what other people do and what you could take into your own practice. So I guess as a mentor, then reflecting is a similar kind of thing. You're reflecting on the things you've done together. And yes, I think it's very important to be doing that and to keep making sure that the process evolves. And that it's not just something you have set in stone, that it's something that you're always thinking about and developing.
One of the important things for us to add is that the activities, the programmes, the structure of these projects is something that evolved. And it was very important for us to ask people beforehand, during and afterwards what had worked less well, what they would like to have done differently.
Yeah, reflection is I think is the most important part of the mentoring process. I think that having that reflective practice is crucial to being a musician, so we improve by being able to reflect on what we've just done, practice it, refine it a bit more, and I think that that's really important in our music making, but also in the mentoring process. We're doing that constantly all the time, reviewing what we've just done, listening, hearing what other people have to say, and yeah, I think, like I say, it's crucial for every young musician to be able to be reflective, but mentors as well, to find out what works, what just works really well there, what we can do to make things better.
Thank you for watching the last in this series of films documenting AYM's music-based mentoring programme. We've looked at what music-based mentoring is, why we do it, and some key aspects which made the programme so successful. We've explored how we train our mentors and how we support them to develop music leadership and facilitation skills. We've looked at the importance of a non-hierarchical environment and how a safe space for experimentation, collaboration and communication was key to this programme. And finally, the unique process that is music-based mentoring, underpinned by exploring participants' musical journeys.